Welcome,
really loud.
yeah. Welcome to the Metal Forge. I'm Brandon Green.
Hi, Ben here.
We're talking about today Quadra from Brazilian death metal titans Sepultura. They just put out a new album, came out February 2020, and it's on Nuclear Blast Records. This kills.
Yes.
Check it out. All right, so this band has been at it forever. They've had a lot of lineup changes, some for the good, some for the better. A lot of people are still obsessed with the Cavalera age, but
It's okay.
at this point, Green has been in the band far longer.
Yeah, right.
So it's...
His tenure has now outpaced Max's.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's hard to top the trilogy from, Schizophrenia up through Arise. That's by far my personal favorite era. But, the last album that they put out was Machine Messiah. That came out in 2017. They had some pretty cool songs on it. They were definitely, I would say, coming towards what they just put out this year. But this album was stronger.
Yes.
It's flawless production, pristine, constant push and pull with the mixing, really great attention to detail.
Fascination Tree Studios, man.
I know. I'm not surprised.
They are probably the best in the metal business right now in terms of mixing and recording. Yeah.
Jens Bogren he total legend.
Yeah.
Everybody looks up to that guy.
Yeah.
Especially somebody who's trying to mix a titan of an album like this. And that's a lot of pressure. Think about it. And I feel like he just did it with such finesse.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, that's just tons of admiration for you.
Right. And I think something too is when you think of Sepultura, typically it's usually you're thinking some tribal elements. I know that they try to introduce, different drums, taiko drums, and different kind of things like that. This album has such a variety of choirs and epic kind of symphonic elements, and everything is just sits so well in the mix. That must have been a challenge, but Jens is the best in the biz.
He's probably just covering his eyes, just right. I got this, guys. Don't worry about it.
I got it. Yeah.
He probably went behind the back.
Yeah. With his keyboard.
Yeah. That's probably how he mixes. Yeah. I think that's how they do it over there.
Behind the back. Yeah.
Definitely. It's a fact. So musicianship and songwriting. A cool fact about this album is it's sort of a segmented EP into 4 sections.
Yeah, you heard about that, huh?
Yeah. I've been watching other reviews and people talking about it and stuff just because I was so interested in the album. And obviously, when a band as important as Sepultura is putting out something, you're going to check it out. And I thought that was a really cool approach in terms of songwriting. And the album does feel, it's cohesive. The whole thing flows really well. But the fact that they chose this deliberate thing to go through almost the eras of the band.
Right.
In the album was a really cool way to listen to it. Do you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think it's really got all the Sepultura tropes in spades, wild solos. Andreas Kisser is, dude, he's always been my favorite member of Sepultura.
Not even fair how good it is.
He's got such a unique guitar tone. He has a way to transition from these amazing groovy riffs to these super technical solos, and then to these super technical rhythm parts. Andreas Kisser is he is one of the greatest metal guitarists alive right now. And the fact that he's basically one of the original members along with Paulo is just it's such a testament to Sepultura's legacy.
Not testament to Sepultura.
Why? Okay, well, Testament's still around too, so that's cool. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about Sepultura's Quadra. It feels this album feels very fleshed out and arranged, and Derek Green's performance is intense.
It's my favorite of his so far.
Yeah, I can see why.
It is... I don't know how he didn't go home every night after doing each song completely exhausted.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Dude.
It is just... it's unbelievable. It sounds like he's in your face.
Yes, screaming at you.
Yeah, but the performances are amazing, and the vocal patterns like follow the downbeat, and then they open up, and then the huge choir section supporting him. It's just really, really cool. And the last half of the album, he even goes off character a little bit.
Yeah, he does. I was surprised. Kind of like sort of cleanish vocals.
Yeah, like almost gothic rock kind of vocals.
Yeah.
There was some cool stuff, and then there's some. I don't want to say. It's definitely not ripping off, but it's pure inspiration in my opinion. It's a lot of Strappy Young Lad I hear, with the big epic sections. I think he's, pulling from some other playbooks a little bit, and it works really well on this album in terms of, all that stuff. And I heard so many things of like the great era of 90s like extreme metal, like what Fear Factory was doing back then, early 2000s with Strappy Young Lad, all that stuff is pretty apparent in the more progressive parts of this album as well.
I put that this sounds like a Sepultura's greatest hits. Really,
that's a really good way to describe it.
It's just so good, like from front to back, and depending on, you said that you really caught on to Sepultura with their first 3 albums. I got actually into them when Derek joined the band and bought Against, which some people are like, Against. I think that album's really cool.
So you weren't against it?
I was not against.
You were with.
I was for Against. And I actually haven't really followed their last kind of handful of albums since then. But dude, now I want to check out everything that they've released between Quadra and Against, because it just sounds like everything that they've done up until this point is going to contextually build like where they have gone from getting Derek with Max leaving the band and everything like that. Because Roots, like they were a kind of a big band like before Roots and everything, but Roots kind of pushed them into like the spotlight.
They made them accessible, and it was at the time that kind of metal was doing well. The groove stuff, you know.
Yep.
It's not necessarily something I really put in frequently. I like the more thrashier stuff.
Yep.
Roots is an iconic record. You can't really argue that.
Right. But like you said too, it's accessible, and some people in the metal community don't like that, but hey, music is subjective. So I think that this is a great return for Sepultura, and not even a return, because they've been around for 30 years, and they're still just, like I said, Andreas Kisser is one of the best in the business. Dude, their drummer, Eloy Casagrande, he's a machine. He is a machine.
Eloy, you are a treasure to this band. And holy crap, there is some stuff in there that I was like, I don't feel like that's a human being. Just totally brought the noise with that performance. Yeah. Some of those songs, like especially the proggier stuff towards the end of the album, there's just twists and turns, and it feels like I don't know, what's a good prog band? Rush. Maybe Rush wrote a heavy extreme metal song, Yeah. Really, really, really cool stuff, and the album progresses in a really cool way. Like I love my favorite songs from it were a lot of them were towards the middle, but I had some at the end as well. Like I loved Isolation. That was ridiculous. That's the banger tune from right at the beginning of the album. Last Time was ridiculous. It kind of reminded me of like the progressive era of Death, like Symbolic, Sign of Perseverance kind of stuff. And they had that spooky section in the middle. That was really cool. Guardians of Earth was like...
I love that one.
Holy shit. Yeah. That was a ridiculous album. And Agony of Defeat was the last one.
That was my favorite.
That is probably my favorite on the album as well. Yeah. But those were like total slamming. I don't even know how you would improve songs. Yeah. And it really is a testament to how long you guys have been in the game and how long you've been killing it.
And they're coming around too. They're doing a tour this spring, which I would love to see them. And I'm pretty sure they're playing with like Sacred Reich and a couple other bands of that era. So if you like live metal shows, I think that Sepultura is going to put on something unique.
We'll probably go.
Yeah, I would love to go.
Yeah. For fans of, I don't even need to cover this.
It's Sepultura. Yeah. It's Sepultura.
If you like
If you like
They're-
Sepultura.
If you haven't visited their catalog at all recently, this is probably the album that it's worth doing. And final thoughts score. I mean, I almost gave this a perfect score. The only reason why I didn't was because I don't really connect with the more roots type stuff. It's really great music. It just doesn't hit me as hard. That's not a fault of the album. There's going to be people who listen to this and absolutely love those songs.
Yeah.
But I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, it's almost a totally. How would you change it? Honestly,
Right. I gave it the same score. I think I didn't connect with a couple songs, but it's not to say that they were bad songs. I think it was just kind of. I don't even want to call them filler songs either. I think that everything that was put in this album is very deliberate. I saw an interview with Andreas Kisser. They had a lot more time to put into this album. And Eloy Casagrande has really elevated the band to another level. They've always been very rhythmically heavy, having Igor Cavalera in the band as their former drummer. But now that Eloy is in the band, it's just like they are at a different level than they ever have been. So this album is practically perfect.
I feel like it's gonna be one of those bands where, like, in the scene, Megadeth is like the band that everyone graduates to and then
Right.
plays in for a while. I feel like this band has potential to be there at some point.
Yeah.
That the really amazing musicians that are out there are gonna graduate to playing in Sepultura.
I hope that Andreas doesn't leave, though. And honestly, dude, I know what you're saying, but I think that the only vacant spot would ever be drums, and I don't want Eloy to leave either.
You better not leave,
I
because
hope not, because
you
dude,
have a whole career of amazing music to put in with this band.
yeah.
So support them, buy stuff. They've been doing this forever. If there's anybody that really deserves it in metal, they're one of the top ones. So buy a shirt, go see them live, buy the album. It's out on Nuclear Blast Records. Subscribe, give us a like, share us around, let us know what you think. Just tune in for the next episode.
Thanks for your time. Take care.